back to Southbound Show, everybody. I'm your host, as always, the Big G, Grayson Kipling. We got a very special guest for you, as always. Allow me to present Dillon Weldon. What's up, buddy?
Good to see you, Grayson.
Good to see you, buddy. Thank you so much for being here and giving me some of your valuable time, my friend.
Oh, no, I'm glad to do it. Glad to sit here with you and talk to you a little bit. Of course, we're in a really sacred place.
Oh, we're in the presence of country music royalty. We're at Johnny Cash's farm filming this, and there ain't no telling what went down here.
Oh man, the stories that I've heard and found, that happened here, and I'll show you some of the stuff when we go inside. You go in the living room. There's bullet holes in the ceiling where Johnny taught his youngest daughter how to target practice with a .22, and it's just all kinds of.
In the house.
Oh yeah, a picture of Waylon on the front porch there with a bearskin rug, and he's got a pistol pointed at his head like he killed. It's just they come out here and hang out. This is really a peaceful.
We drove
spot.
We drove up through here. We're out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it don't get no more small town than this. And speaking of small town, you're from a very small town. I thought I was, but I think you got me beat. You're from the big town of Sugartown, Louisiana, correct?
If you're from any smaller of a town than me, you live in a shack out in the woods, probably. Yeah, Sugartown. Population, if you look it up, population 176. So 174 now. Me and my wife's up here, but that's how I grew up. It wasn't until all these Dollar Generals started popping up everywhere that we had a place to go buy groceries. It wasn't 30 minutes away, movies and whatnot, stuff like that. A mall is over an hour away still. But, I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I love living in the woods.
Man, town I live in, it's got a few thousand. It's got a little bit more than that, but I think they built, you mentioned Dollar Generals, they built like 5 Dollar Generals in a 10-mile radius. They're everywhere now. They're dropping like flies.
Them things have popped up everywhere. Every corner you turn, there's a new one being built.
I'm convinced if there's an open field and it's for sale, they'll put a Dollar General on it. If it's the size of a double wide trailer, they'll put one on it. They'll bulldoze it and put one there.
Yeah, love them though. Proud supporters of the Grand Ole Opry, the Dollar General is one of the biggest sponsors.
Hey, you can't beat it in the Dollar General markets. Hey. That's about where it's at. If you don't want to go to Food Line or somewhere, roll up in that joint. They got all the sugar and salt and all that, some fruit now and stuff. They got all you need.
Oh yeah, Dollar General. If you're listening, send us a sponsorship. Hear how good we're talking about you.
Dang right. Hey, this might end up being a short right here. Man, I'll tag you in it. Make sure we get it. I love it. So tell me about growing up. What was growing up like in big town of Sugartown?
It was great. Every bit of it. I live, everybody says they're from God's country. I really believe I was from God's country. Pine trees, piney woods, lots of creeks, 6 Mile, 10 Mile, Wiskachita, Calcasieu River all run through where I live. So I grew up on the creeks, fishing and swimming. And it ain't like these creeks up here where it's rock beds and stuff. It's all sandy. Yep. You can find a swimming hole that's 15 foot deep and have a good time. Lots of bass fishing and hunting, and not a lot to do outside of that other than sports, which I was never into. I played ball when I was a little kid, t-ball and all that, but I never could get into the sports thing. Rodeoed a little bit, but I figured out that was stupid real quick. I rode bulls. And I didn't do it long.
You went bigger, you went home.
Yeah, I figured
you went for the top.
I figured you might as well go for the adrenaline rush,
Yes, sir.
And I watched some bareback riders, and to me that looked more dangerous than the bulls. It looked like they break your neck while you're on them.
We're on the same page.
And, so I rode the bulls for a little while. Didn't care for that. Well, I had fun, but I figured out how stupid it was. So I quit that, and me and my buddies looking for something to do, out in the middle of nowhere. We saw YouTube. We really come from the generation where YouTube became a thing in 2005, and we watched these guys, being stupid on there. So we decided we'd try that, which all this is gone, so don't look for it. But we did some stuff just being stupid on there and had fun with it. And I remember teachers and stuff saying, you boys are just having too much fun with that. Y'all need to quit. Y'all focus on your school. There ain't no future in that, kind of a deal. Which we was probably letting our grades slip a little bit. We was having fun with it, and So that was really my childhood. Just when you grow up in that small of an environment, you have to find things to do because you can't walk to the movies or nothing, you know. And so we learned to play guitar. I started writing songs at 14 years old. It wasn't until about 2 years later I started picking on a guitar when I was around 16, watching YouTube videos and just learning from as many people as I could on how to play a guitar, which I'm not saying I'm no savant or anything, you know, but that's how it was. That's really how it was, you know. So
you mentioned playing the guitar and writing songs. Did you ever have an interest in that being, you want to be a country singer? Did you ever have that thought in your head that that's what you wanted to do? Or
I don't know where my passion for writing came from. When I was in the 3rd grade, I remember writing I'd write short stories, front and back of loose leaf paper. It'd probably be 5 or 6 pages long, about just random stuff as a 3rd grader, you know, just stupid stuff that I'd come up with, and I'd get it and give it to my teachers or my mom or whoever to read it. And so I started writing at an early age. And when I was 14, I would write stuff in my head song-wise. I'd come up with lyrics and stuff and think that'd be cool. So I started writing, you know, at an early age, and I was coming up with lyrics in my head, and my dad watched a documentary on Kris Kristofferson. And I sat there and watched the whole thing and was in awe of Kris Kristofferson. Like how I remember thinking at 14 years old, that's what I want to be. I want to, somebody who's lived 5 lifetimes in one.
100%.
And then at my age now, I know that's a really high standard to set for yourself. But the writing in particular, I went that night and wrote my first song down complete in a blue notebook that I still have. And it was a song about Kris Kristofferson. And that really just sparked a fire. And I probably wrote 50 songs that year after that, you know, just.
He probably is the most interesting man in country music history, just from the life he lived to being going to Oxford, I believe he was a Ranger, correct? I think he was a Ranger.
Golden Glove boxer.
Yep, movie star, country singer. He just did it all, and just an interesting story. I watched a documentary when he passed away about his life, and I knew a bunch of stuff, but until you watched it and really see it all put together in a documentary, it's like, holy cow, what a life he lived. Part of the Highwaymen, had some hit songs on his own, wrote Me and Bobby McGee.
Yeah. And
just lived a life. Loving Her was easier, one of my favorite. I like Waylon's version too, and his version of that song. Yeah. And just a great, what a catalog of music he left behind, man.
Absolutely. Loving Her was easier. Willie Nelson's version was my wedding song.
Really?
But yeah, he was a hero of mine though, you know. Kristofferson taught me something at that early age, seeing his life on that documentary. Here's a man that had everything, you know, he could have been the richest man in the world. He had everything right there in the palm of his hand. His parents were aristocrats, you know, big time people. And he was lined up to go to West Point. He could have been the president, really. He could have. But he had a passion for songwriting and went to be a janitor.
He did a 180. I mean, just gave it all up to follow a passion.
For a passion.
And that's inspiring to me.
That's exactly what inspired me. And I know saying Kristofferson's one of my heroes, like, yes, get in line, you know?
Yeah.
He's everybody's hero in country music, but he really is. He was he is my earliest inspiration.
One of my heroes is Waylon Jennings. The way he's my all-time favorite. I'm a big Waylon Jennings fan. And just the way he kind of did things his own way, and and just funny too. I mean, you see him in videos and stuff, he's funny. My earliest memory of Waylon was actually on Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
Seeing him on stage when he had the guitar down here and the mandolin up here at the Boss Hogg Celebrity Speed Trap, and having the intro to the show. Obviously, you couldn't, like he wrote in the song, couldn't figure out why his mom couldn't figure out why she wasn't seeing his face and his Hazard song on the radio version. That ain't on the TV show version. But I never could figure out why he wrote 2 versions of that song. Do you know by chance?
My guess is, just to have that cut of it, that radio cut, they show my hand and not my face on TV. That's my guess. I don't know off the top of my head if there was any other specific reasoning for it. But yeah, Waylon, another hero for sure. Another guy, there's in all of these folks that I consider heroes, or the big people of country music who I love, there's a reoccurrence in all of them that no matter what happened, they didn't let that dream get out of sight. And some of those guys, most of those guys, went through the hardest stuff that would kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
Waylon was Buddy Holly. George Jones with the drug addiction. Johnny Cash, when he was just a kid, seeing his brother die, and then drug addiction on him as well.
Waylon too.
Waylon with Buddy, and then like Willie with his son took his life, and then right after that the IRS troubles. All these guys went through things that would kill the average person, I believe, but never lost sight of
kept at it
where they needed to go, and that to me is.
Well, with Waylon, I mean, the '90s rolled around. His chart numbers slipped significantly. I mean, I think after Wrong, I think that was his last top 10 hit, and in the '90s. But he just kept on trucking and just kept on putting out music he wanted to do. I mean, Kenny Rogers, I think he was quoted saying to somebody in an interview, I think he might have told Vince Gill, don't quote me on that, but he told somebody, he was like, why are you still putting out albums if your numbers are slipping? He was like, it's just what I do. He just kept at it. He said he knew there was an audience that would listen to it, and he just kept on trucking. And
well, those guys realized, it is the audience, and they had their core fans, so they weren't going to, stop at any point. But the '90s weren't kind to those older acts at all.
There's a select few like George Strait that got through it and kept on putting out hits and were able to.
Yeah, and George was a little younger too.
He was.
And kind of fit into that style, those Dean Dillon songs and stuff, But there were a lot of them that felt left behind. Fair and Young, being the most extreme example.
Yep.
Felt that he was left behind and ended up taking his life. But for the bad, there is a lot of good there too, because you had guys like Alan Jackson and Travis Tritt, Randy Travis, who attached themselves to their heroes and made music with them, and I appreciate those guys a lot for that.
Yep. Would you consider Alan Jackson a neo-traditionalist, like Randy Travis? I know he came out in I believe it was 98 when he came, or 89 when Alan Jackson came out, 90. Would you consider him in that category with Ricky Skaggs and Travis Tritt?
I love Alan's music. I'm not real big on, those categorizations of people. I love everything Alan did. I think he's a great guy. I love that Alan, more than anybody, stood up for those guys, for George Jones especially,
100%.
At the CMA Awards, or was it the ACM, one of those awards shows, and that meant the world. There's a clip of George calling into a show that Alan was on the next day or two, and thanking him for that.
Yes, sir.
So Alan's was the right guy for the right time, I believe, because he helped keep that going strong. So neo-traditionalist, I'm not sure. I think he was just making country music that he liked to make, He was. He's another outlaw that don't get mentioned. And I would put him in that category for the stuff that he did. He wouldn't cave. He's walked out of award shows, and he told his drummer not to use sticks. Yeah.
And just he don't get mentioned as put in that category, but I think he is. He's up there.
Absolutely, and man, the songs, Chasing That Neon Rainbow, Chattahoochee. Both of those songs were written by Jim McBride, who's a dear friend of mine. I'm fortunate enough to be friends with a couple guys who wrote a lot with Alan, Jim McBride and Roger Murrah. Roger wrote Don't Rock the Jukebox. He also wrote Where Corn Don't Grow, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. But hearing stories from those guys about Alan kind of a, if you hear them talk, kind of a timid guy. You know, he don't say a whole lot. And but man, the impact he had on the genre.
My favorite story is how he wrote Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning? Just woke up 3 a.m. and just wrote it, just feeling it, and I just think that's the coolest story that's probably one of the coolest stories in my opinion, the song being wrote after 9/11 and all that. He just hit him in the middle of the night and just got up and wrote it.
There's some great, one of my biggest things that I do, I guess you could say, is finding and telling the stories behind songs and how they're written. And there's some incredible ones that I would encourage you or anybody else to go look into. Delta Dawn being one. The Ride by Gary Gentry has. I've told documentary makers that I've met, you should make a documentary on The Ride.
Yep.
Just the song.
Yes.
Nothing else. Just make it about the ride, and you will have a full-length documentary that is very interesting. Ghost stories, stories about Miss Audrey. I mean, it goes way back. It's really cool. Gary is a dear friend of mine who wrote that, and man, that has become one of my favorites. It was one of my favorite songs before, but it's become even more of a favorite of mine the more I learn about the song itself. It's such an incredible song. But man, I love, if you know the roots and the origins of a song, you just appreciate it that much more. And that's what I try to, share with people.
Just kind of see what state of mind they might have been in when they were writing it. Just
the state of mind, or like Delta Dawn, he saw his mother's ghost, and he said he saw her plain as day sitting in a rocking chair, rocking and laughing. And the words of that song just started pouring in his head, and he went and woke Tommy Collins up. He was at Tommy's house, and they wrote the song in 20 minutes. It's stories like that once you know the backstory and you listen to the song again, you just have that much more of an appreciation for it, because now, hey, I know where this came from, and it's wild.
It's already a cool song, and it just makes it even better. So speaking of that, on the subject, you do a lot for country music with your videos and talking about the history of country music. So tell me that process. Where did that start? When did you start making those videos and just getting out there and promoting country music the way you do?
Well, I've always loved country music. I told this story till I'm blue in the face. I'm sure you've heard it. When I was 3 years old, I asked for I can't remember if it was my birthday or Christmas, I asked for a Sony Walkman. This was in the 90s. And Johnny Paycheck's Greatest Hits cassette at 3 years old, and I burnt that thing up. Loved Johnny Paycheck. He was my first favorite. First song I ever learned all the words to when I was about that same age, though, was Time Marches On, old Bobby Braddock tune. And just always, through my childhood, teenage years, college, everything, loved country music. I've listened to, classic rock. I listened to, of course, Skinner and Marshall Tucker Band and all those cats, but never loved anything quite as much as I loved country music and the history of it and stuff. So one day, it really started with my songwriting. I thought maybe if I get some of my songs out here, I could connect with some people who have a little networking going on with a few dozen people or something. Yeah. Started doing that, and I'd come across a story, a Waylon Jennings story or something I liked, and say, hey man, these people that are in my little community here might like this story. So I start posting stuff like that, and it gains traction. And people started sending me messages like, man, I never knew the story behind that song, or I never knew that Waylon did that, or George did that, or Tammy, or whoever. And I started realizing the importance of it. I'm like, there really is nobody doing it right now. This was been, 5.5 years ago. There's nobody doing it, telling these old stories like that. Otis Gibbs does a fantastic job at it. His is more of a podcast style type, he brings people in. But as far as just a talking head of people telling these stories and trying to get it as accurate as possible, there wasn't anybody doing it. So I saw the importance in it, and I just started doing it, and for fun. I was working my day-to-day job, and we would just post it for fun. Never intended. At the time, there was no way to make money. They had the creator reward program on TikTok, and that's all I was on. And if you made $100 in a year, you was doing something.
And, doing good.
And I did that for about 3 years, and had 35,000 followers. And I had been working in Austin, Texas, doing construction work. And I got a call. The company I was working for was corrupt as could be, and I ended up quitting them and went and finished building a house for some people there. And got a call from a guy out of Houston. He said, "Hey, I'll pay you 20% more if you come over to Houston and do some project management stuff on it." I said, "Okay." So we ended up moving out to Houston. My wife's parents lived there. Thankfully, they have a rent house that we was able to move into, because we moved in that rent house. 2 days later, he messaged me, "Hey, job fell through." I'm like, "Man, we moved all the way to Houston, Texas. What do you mean? You got to have something." He said, "No, I don't have anything right now." So, well, I got a good savings buffer, from working in Austin, so I can survive for a few months. So I told my wife, I said, "You know what? I'm going to take a month or two off and just kick back and really figure out what I want to do and apply to some stuff around town." And I did that. No bites. Over a month passed, and I got aggravated because I go stir crazy,
Yeah.
I walked out on the porch, and I'm a pretty spiritual person. I said, "God, it says in your book, look at how the wildflowers grow and the birds don't worry about what they're going to eat." I've tried it my way for a long time, and nothing ever, up until this, from the time I graduated college up until this point, nothing ever really just worked out the way I wanted it to. And so I'm just going to hand it over to you, so see what you got. And it was the next day or two that TikTok rolled out the creator reward program, which didn't mean a whole lot to me, because at the time, if I got 20,000 views on something, I was doing real good. Creator reward program, that is going to pay you $15,
Yep.
20,000 views. But a day or two after that, I made a video about Hank Williams Jr. falling off the mountain, and it got like 1.5 million views. And I got $700 or $800 check off that. So I said, well, if I do it once, I can do it again. Thank you, Lord,
Yeah.
And rock and rolled since that was 2.5 years ago. And it's just been an upwards trajectory ever since.
I got kind of a similar story type deal. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I just, on a whim, me and my dad were talking about it, and I'd kind of flappered around a little bit. I drove a truck for a little bit, but just a lot of stuff didn't work out, and did construction. And I was just, I think, it's kind of a dream of mine to have a podcast and to do social media and YouTube and stuff. I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. And it's just put it in the Lord's hand, man. Like, I've never heard you mention the Lord anywhere, so we can talk about that. I mean, he's had a big impact on my life, the reason that I'm here. Man, I literally said, I started with a dream and a prayer, and that just came a long ways. And it's just a big part of my life. What's your spirituality? What does the good Lord mean to you?
Everything. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. I solely credit that day for where I am today, that prayer. I grew up in church and sang a lot of gospel hymns in church. I'd get up with my guitar and play, and it means everything to me, though. There's not a day. I really believe in, it says in the Bible, speak to God without ceasing. There's a lot about prayer, and I pray. There are times that, this moment is specifically set aside for prayer. You know, when I go to bed at night, I say a prayer. I might wake up in the morning and say a prayer. But throughout the day, I'll see little things, or things will happen, and I say, yeah, I see you, God, you know, thank you for that one. Or what do you think I should do right now, God? Lead me, guide me, you know. I really believe in having that continuous line. Who better to have a continuous line with, you know?
It's direct too. Ain't no put on hold on that one. It goes straight to the man.
Yeah, and he'll put things right in front of you that you can't deny. Absolutely. It happened to me yesterday, and I hate to tell this story because I'm not one to believe in doing things good for other people and bragging about it. So I want to make that clear that that's not the reason I'm telling this story, but something weird happened yesterday that I just can't deny was God. Me and Holiday went and did a podcast with Sammy Sadler. We left, we were both hungry, and so we stopped at a Wendy's. I was ahead of Holiday in line, and I already knew that I was going to pay for Holiday because he come out and helped me film the podcast. And a lady walks in behind him, and I hear her say, "Sir, will you buy me a meal? I'm hungry," to Holiday. And he said, "Yeah, I'll buy you a hamburger." And I turned around, and she was wearing a shirt that had that verse on it about the wildflowers don't worry about.
There's something bigger than me and you. There's something bigger.
And I didn't say anything. I just turned back around, and I knew in my head, I said, God, I see it. That one's mine.
Yep.
I went up there and I bought Holidays. I bought hers. I bought her 5 extra hamburgers, you know, told her to hand it out to her friends or whatever. And she wanted to do with it. But I told Holiday when we sat down, I said, you know, that was eerie.
Yeah.
That's not a verse it's not John 3:16 or Philippians 4:13. It's not one that you're going to see printed on a bunch of bumper stickers or anything.
Yep.
And so for that verse to be on a shirt, that was weird.
Yeah. One of my favorites, and I cannot remember the verse name. It's like, you have not because you won't because you ask not. That's that's a big one. Like, because I've told him several times I pray just about every night and during the day, and I'm just like I started this on a whim type deal. Like, I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm like, hey, you know, especially in the beginning, I've gotten a little more figured out now. But I did yesterday. I was like, hey, I can't do it alone. I need some help. Yeah. And it's just amazing the blessings that you get. And I ain't you know, it's sad. You can't help everybody. Yeah. You want to, but it's one. So I try to give back when I can, and I get people out message me stuff. It's like, hey, will you repost this? I'm like, yeah, sure. Just stuff like that, just to try to give it back a little bit. Because I had people help me in the beginning. I'm sure you did too.
Oh yeah.
Just stuff like that. And you know, the bigger you get, and I think it's made me a better person. Just the bigger you get, and it's like, hey, you know, now I can give back a little bit more. And you know, I got a bigger following. I can repost this or tell somebody to go check this out, and just stuff like that. You can just do more with a bigger following. Yeah. You know, a lot of people, they think, oh, you know, people famous or church and all that. No, it's not everybody. There's a few bad apples, obviously, but it ain't everybody. Yeah. Not everybody's like that.
I didn't have a lot of, right at the beginning, I didn't have much help at all for those first few years. The reason I started, obviously I had my love of country music that we talked about, but when COVID hit, that's when a lot of people got started on social media, you know, because we didn't have anything else to do. Everything was shut down. And I knew that maybe that was something I wanted to pursue, but I didn't know how I wanted to pursue it, because 5 or 6 years before this, probably closer to 8 or 10 years before that, me and my friend Josh Walker was making the videos back home when we were still in high school, and we had talked about, you know, if any other platform ever comes along, like this was the time that Vine got killed.
Yeah.
If any other platform ever comes along like Vine was, we got to jump in at the ground level. So 2020 was about the time that TikTok transitioned from this goofy dancing app to what it is now.
Yep.
And I thought, you know, I should get in on it. Don't really know what I want to do. I know I'd love to do something with country music. And Grady Smith came out with a YouTube video. I don't know if you're familiar with Grady.
I've heard the name, but I don't know that much about him.
So he does more mainstream country long form content on YouTube. Got a couple 100,000 subscribers. I've been watching him for years. Big fan of what Grady does. Unfortunately, he doesn't really do it anymore. What I understand, he's working, I think, for RCA or something now. But he put out a video, country music's taking over TikTok. And he was talking about artists like Mae Estes and stuff who were starting to gain traction on TikTok. And that's when I really saw the void. Because I went and I was like, ooh, if Grady knows that country music's taking over TikTok, because I went to his page and he hadn't posted anything. I was like, Grady, somebody really needs to take advantage of short form was brand new.
Yeah. Somebody
needs to take advantage of short form in the country music space. And I have such a reverence for the history and the genre and the artists. I thought, maybe I can do it. And so I just did it. People ask me all the time, how do you do it? How do you do it? You do it. That's all. Yeah. That's anything in life. You got to. If you don't do it, you're not gonna do it.
100% right.
Do it.
My biggest thing is just starting. I mean, once you knock the first one out, it's gonna be terrible. Obviously, everything you do the first time, it ain't gonna be the best. But you just keep building reps, keep getting there. And mine, my first video was horrible. I don't know how yours looked.
Oh, bad. I'm sure.
I'd hate to go back and look at it because
I have them pop up sometime. Some random person will comment on one.
Yeah.
And I delete it.
That's awesome.
I don't want nobody else to see this. But, I think there's a lot of thoughts, and this goes for starting a business, starting on social media, anything we do. I think there's a lot of thoughts of, hey, what are my friends going to think about this? What are my family? They're probably going to judge me for this or think that I'm trying to get attention or all these negative thoughts into your mind.
Yep.
But the one thought that is going to push all those out, which one of those people are writing you a check to pay your light bill?
That's 100% right.
Or putting gas in your truck? Who cares what those people think? If you get one life to live. That's it. You get one life to live, unless you believe in reincarnation, which I don't. Live it.
Yeah.
Live it.
Well, I didn't tell none of my friends. The only people that knew that I started was my mom and my dad. Mm-hmm. They just saw it. It just popped up on. I think I had close to 10,000 followers before they even saw it.
Yeah.
Two of my friends worked together. They sent me a video. One of them had it up on his TikTok. He was like, when did you get 10,000 followers? I didn't even know you had another account. I had two.
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck? I was like, I've been doing that for a while. He's like, no kidding. And it was funny because then about that time, everybody kind of figured it out type deal. I just thought it was funny. I just, you was worried about opinions. I was just like, well, it ain't none of their business. They find out about it. They find out about it. And I ain't going to stop no matter what nobody says. So.
Yeah, well, that's the way you got to be. I was the same way, too. A lot of people back home and whatnot, they're just going to find out when they see it. If I can grow it up big enough to where people see it. And it did.
Yeah, they saw it. You've got over, I think I just saw your thing a few weeks ago. You got over 1 million across all platforms now. I mean, that's big.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I hit 1 million the first day of CMA Fest, which was back in June. So 3 weeks ago, I guess, I hit 1 million. I calculated it last week and was like 1,030,000. Which was just blew my mind.
Yeah.
That I re-added it up, it was at 1,030,000 because 30,000, I was stuck at 30,000 for a long time on TikTok. I hit 30,000 and was probably stuck there for about a year before it eventually took off, And then in 2 weeks, I gained 30,000. It's just so crazy how fast it can happen. And I'm actually thankful that it didn't happen so fast for me, like one of these overnight, and not saying anything bad about that happening, like Justin Nunley told me, he was getting he got 3 million in a month.
I've heard that. I've heard him say that before.
Which is crazy to think about. I'm glad mine has been more of, I could say, a grassroots growth. Because I think and I don't want this to come out wrong, like I'm saying that those people's fans aren't really their fans or listeners or whatever. It just seems to me like a slower growth. You get to know those people,
watch them grow, and
you
didn't have a Hawk 2 moment. That's what I always do.
No Hawk 2 moment for me.
That's what I always joke at. I told one of my buddies the other day, he was, because like they don't understand, like the algorithms are all over the place. I mean, you've dealt with it. You say you were 30,000 for a year. I'm sure you're supposed to consistently during the time.
Well, not really.
Not really.
I'll tell you what happened there. Because I told you I was just doing it for fun. Yep. So consistency didn't mean anything to me. Quality really didn't mean anything. I'd hear something on the radio, I'd get on there and complain about it. You know, Sam Hunt come out with this new song that's garbage, and I'd film it. Yeah. You know, the Webb Pierce one really made me mad. But anyway, I digress. I didn't do it consistently. I wasn't worried about quality. It was just purely fun for me until that happened on that porch. And I got that 1.5 million on that one video. And I realized God is doing something in my life. I was messaging with my friend Josh, who I mentioned earlier, who I still talk to just about every day. By the way, he's built a career in social media himself in the sports world. So we both went different directions, but we're still doing it. And he was able to quit his job, full-time content creator. I texted him about it, and he and I came to the agreement. We're going to make a pact to post consistently for 1 year and try to make each video we made better than the last one for 1 year. And we made a pact to keep each other on it. You know, hey, you didn't post. Where's your video? You know. And by the end of that summer, this was in May, the beginning of May of 23. By the end of that summer, I went from 35,000 to 100,000. And around August, September, I thought, you know what, I probably ought to make an Instagram account. And a Facebook account. And a YouTube account. So I did that. My first month on Facebook, I got 50,000 followers. My first month, which was crazy.
That's nuts.
And Instagram is a slow burn. YouTube's an even slower burn.
Absolutely.
But I've been very fortunate. I hit 400,000 on Facebook the other day, 150,000 on Instagram. YouTube's way behind, like 45,000. But I don't really concern myself too much about that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I've really learned, as I'm sure you are, that those numbers are kind of frivolous. It doesn't really. Yeah. It's cool to say, hey, I got 1 million followers, but if you ain't consistently putting out content that's good, it don't matter. You can have 1 million followers and put out a garbage video, it's going to get 200 views.
Yep. When I started, all I started posting on the beginning was TikTok and Instagram. And TikTok, it blew up a lot quicker. Instagram, it felt like 3,000 forever. It felt like it took forever to finally break out of that. And then it was like, now I'm almost getting closer to 20 now on Instagram. But that's just happened recently. Like it's been since May. I mean, it's like, I don't know what changed about Instagram. I have no clue, but it finally started picking up. Yeah. The same with YouTube and other stuff finally started coming around.
I've noticed after doing it, you know, consistently, or not necessarily, just doing it for all the time I have, because even those high school days, I mean, that was learning, you know. Doing it for years like I have, there's constant changes. And sometimes it's a change for the bad, and you might have a month, you might have 2 months that everything's down. But eventually it's it's a wave, like we were talking earlier. You got good months, you got bad months. So it ain't for the weak minded, you know. If you're gonna be concerned about, hey, this month ain't going to be as good as last month was, and that's going to, you know, worry you to death, it's going to be a rough ride.
Well, I interviewed the Reese brothers yesterday, and we were talking, and they were like if you don't love it, they was talking about the music industry and this and that. They was like, if you don't love it, you ain't going to make it, just for stuff like that. Just you just got to be committed, and really, I mean, if you're not consistent, not all of us can have that Hawk 2 moment. That's what I always joke about. I'm like, not all of us can do that. Yeah. You know, a lot of people, it takes years and years and years to get up there. Like some people, they just can't and have 1 million. Some people got to work at it, and it's it's just one of those deals. You just keep going and rolling. And
Yeah. You know, that gets thrown around a lot with artists and songwriters and stuff. You know, if you don't love it, you ain't gonna make it. I think that's true for
absolutely
anything that you're pursuing outside of a 9 to 5 or whatever. You have to, your heart's got to be in it if you're gonna do it. Because for one, even if you are successful, say I got successful doing what I do, but really I hate country music. You might make some money doing it and stuff, but you're going to burn out on it eventually because your heart's not in it.
They're going to find out it ain't real eventually, too.
Yeah, exactly. So I think whatever you do something that your heart is in it 100%, because then it don't. T.G. Shepherd told me one day, he said, Dillon, you are the hardest working man in this industry, I believe. And I was taken aback by that because I thought, I don't work hard at all. I go interview my heroes and put it on the internet. You know, to me that's not hard work. But he's seeing me out here grinding and picking up these interviews as much as I can and going out and networking and stuff. And I guess that is technically a lot of hard work. But for someone like me who loves it,
it's not work.
Not a day of it is a work to me.
Well, it was quoted by somebody, I can't remember, but it was like, do what you love, you won't never work a day in your life. And that's true. I believe it. Like, ever since I've started, I mean, I've just been so happy and just, obviously you're going to have bad days or days where you don't feel the best, or days where you're like, well, I got to go make a video type deal. Well, it's like, well, the majority of the time, like 99% of it, awesome. I love it. I've only been doing it for a little while. I can't imagine myself doing anything else. I'm just like, this is the path that I'm on, and I'm going to be successful one way or the other. It's just one of those deals. When you love it like that, it's all you got.
Life is a life, no matter what you're doing. You know, life is a life, whether you're you or me, it don't matter who you are. Life's a life. You're going to have bad days and good days, but you just got to remember, you can't have a good day without a bad day.
Mm-mm.
You can't appreciate.
You wouldn't have nothing to base it off of. Yeah.
You can't appreciate the good without the bad. So you always have. That's one thing on those days that really gets you down. You just got to think about how much you should appreciate the good stuff.
Yes, sir.
That you have.
So we've talked about older country music a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen you promote some newer country music. So who are some guys that you like that are some newer country singers that are keeping it alive with the old sound?
I've been fortunate enough to become friends with a couple of them that I have the utmost respect for. One of them being Belle France.
Yes.
Just had supper with her after the Opry the other night. Great vocalist and great girl. Country to the bone, I can tell you.
Well, she, I saw I like her song, "Do You," that was on the Yellowstone show. She did, I believe she did "Act Naturally," a cover of Buck Owens' song.
That girl covers
"Hello, Darling," I think she did. She's
the
really
Grand
good.
Tour. She killed the Grand Tour.
I saw her do the. She went noodling with Hannah Barron and had that catfish.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, yeah, that's real. She's about as bad as it gets if she can do that. I mean, that.
Yeah, we talked about catfishing when I was with her the other day. She's something. Another one that I'm good friends with, Jake Worthington.
Absolutely.
I love that boy to death. He's out there, and I think our respect for each other is truly equal. Because he'll text me something, I'll post something, man, you're doing all you can. You're going to bring country music back. I love everything. And then I'm saying, well, Jake, that's how I feel about your music, man. What you're doing, you're killing it. You're bringing the real country music back. I appreciate the heck out of that guy, man.
Maybe you would know. I'm trying to confirm. Is he Mark Chestnut's son? Because he looks just like him. I've been saying that for a while because they were doing the Zach Top thing with Alan Jackson. I was like, I think Jake looks just like Mark Chestnut.
I can sit here and confirm to you that Jake Worthington is not Mark Chestnut's son.
Well, we got it from the top.
I met his daddy. His daddy is just as good as Jake is. They're good people down there from around Houston, Texas. Country to the bone. The real deal, good people. But no, he's not Mark's son. They do favor, but No, I can confirm he is not.
They favor a lot. Man, I think Jake and Zach Top are just top notch. I mean,
Zach, I love him. I've yet to meet Zach. I'm sure we'll cross paths soon. Everything I hear about him is just how good of an old boy he is, and he has a reverence for the real stuff. And it just excites the heck out of me, man, to see all these people breaking into the mainstream.
I like Jake when he was promoting It Ain't the Whiskey. Man, his personality was coming out in those videos with the police
he's
car.
funny, man.
He won. I was already a big fan of him. I saw him open for Hank Jr. Several years ago, and this was right after he released Jones and Ronnie Dunn, and I think Jake Owen might have been on it too. It was three of them, I think. But I've been a fan of him since, and I started listening to his songs he did by himself, and he started doing those. I was like, man, this dude's funny. Like, he was getting into it. I can't remember what all he said now, but he was like, the only thing I got driving with intent to take her home. When he said that, I started laughing. I was like, that's awesome, and the song was top notch too. Man, Jay, he's funny. I've been a big fan of his, and his latest song that he put out, Not Like I Used To, I believe it was his latest one. I really like it. That's a good. I don't. If that's not, I'm sorry. I think that's the name of it.
I saw Jake twice during CMA Fest. I went to both of his shows down there. And everything comes out when it's on fire, man. And him and Bell, Zach, all of them, they're just beginning to.
Yes,
they got a long way to go, and it's going to be fun to watch it.
Well, I got one last question for you before we wrap this up. So I know Zach Top just had, I believe, it might have been his second #1 hit. I think I Never Leave was the first one. I think
I Never Lie, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Use Me was the second one, I believe. I believe I saw it went #1 the other day too somewhere. It might. I think that's what it said. But what do you think of the state of country music today? Do you think it's making a comeback with guys like Jake Worthington?
I think it looks a whole lot better than it did 5 years ago and 10 years ago. I think it looks as promising as it ever has. You know, with those folks coming back, I think we got a good grasp on it.
Yes, sir.
And we ain't gonna let go.
Yes, sir.
And I've told all of them, Bell and Jake, I haven't met Zach yet, but it goes for him and anybody else who's putting out real country music. You know, I got their back 100%, and I think most of the country music community does.
I knew when Jamie Johnson put out his new album last year, I believe, I was like, ooh, that's a good one. I was like,
yeah.
He hadn't done one in years.
Yeah.
I believe it's close to 10.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, this is so good. It's what a time in Texas music is doing all this now.
Oh.
And there's all these independent artists and all these guys like Zach Top that are getting radio play on mainstream radio.
Right.
I think that's a big, big deal.
Oh, yeah.
But so where can everybody find you at on social media?
Yeah, if you just look up Dillon Weldon, Dillon, Weldon, I'll pop up there. Either me or some fake account pretending to be me is going to pop up somewhere.
They're all over the place. I see them like they'll crop your face off and put it on a different background, and just I'll see them all.
Oh yeah, it's aggravating, but that's part of it, you know. But yeah, you can find me there. The podcast, Drifting Cowboy. We just had Jamie Johnson released this morning. Got some good ones coming up, good ones we've done, and some real exciting news that I can't really get into right now coming down the line. But you'll know it when you see it.
Hey.
And but man, thank you for what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
You're doing a great job. You're killing it. And when you reached out, I'm more than happy to sit down with people who are really you putting forth the effort, man. And I see you're doing that.
Well, I appreciate it, man. That means a lot to me. Just the fact that you and Dillon have said Dillon said he saw my stuff. I was like, holy cow!
Oh yeah,
I can't believe he's been seeing it. And
we see everybody's.
Yeah, I was told that by several people. I was like, wait, you have? And that's awesome. But man, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you, buddy.
It was fun, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, thank y'all so much as always. Over and out.